There's this blonde guy, right? He somehow gets pulled out of the real world and dropped straight into a game world, or maybe a fantasy world, who knows? Anyway, in this world, every single main character just happens to be a stunningly beautiful girl. Now, usually in fantasy worlds like this, things go the usual way. You go there, you get stronger, maybe you're weak at first, then you level up, fight monsters, and become a hero. But this guy? Yeah, no. His luck sucks. He ends up as a villain. Not even a cool one, just a temporary early game villain who shows up for a bit and then gets completely wiped out. This poor guy really can't catch a break. The cute maid flirts with him. The ice princess flirts with him. Even the girl in the red dress, the main protagonist of this story, flirts with him. I know what you're thinking. Wow, what a tragedy. But trust me, for him, it really is. Now here's where it gets messy. He suddenly gets visions of the future. He sees what's going to happen to him. He's going to be tied up, betrayed, humiliated, and the shadows he sees don't make it look any better. Oh, and to make things even worse, his father is about to head off to war. Before leaving, he tells his son, "Our family needs heirs to continue the bloodline." Yeah, heirs. You can imagine what kind of requests that leads to. And this is all happening in a world ruled almost completely by women, a straight-up matriarchy. Girls are in charge of everything. So the question is, can this guy even survive here? Anyway, the story starts inside the Campbell family's palace. A blonde boy wakes up in bed completely confused. What the hell happened? Didn't I just die in a car crash? Did I time travel? Where even am I? He looks around. The place feels kind of European. Fancy furniture, golden curtains, that sort of vibe. Then he catches a glimpse of his reflection. Wait, that face. That's how I looked when I was, 16 or 17? But I'm supposed to be older now. Why do I look like this? He stares at himself in disbelief. Man, I really was good looking back then. What happened to me? He remembers his old life, being poor, unemployed, depressed, and, shaped a bit like a tired elephant. So he needs to confirm if this is real. He grabs a knife, makes a small cut on his finger. Blood comes out. Normal blood. But it feels too real. He winces, quickly sticks his finger in his mouth to stop the bleeding. Okay, yeah, this feels way too real. And then it hits him. All the memories of this body come rushing in. His name here is Moon Campbell, a prince who lost everything. Once royalty, now a beggar. His family abandoned him, stripped him of his titles, and his father literally said, "If you ever set foot on this land again, I'll kill you myself." Why? Because Moon committed a terrible crime. We'll find out what that was later. But right now, he's just sitting there, holding his head, thinking, wait, no way, I've been reincarnated into that story I was reading. Yeah, the story called The Protagonist Female is the Main Hero. It's one of those typical stories. The female lead gets betrayed by her family, trains hard, gets stronger, slays monsters, saves the world, and comes back as a legendary hero. And Moon Campbell? He's the guy who sends people to kill her early on, before she levels up. His plans fail miserably, he gets kicked out of his family, becomes poor, and by chapter 20, no one even remembers his name. Reincarnation's supposed to be cool, right? A new life, a fresh start. But this guy, he got stuck as a minor villain who doesn't even matter. Talk about bad luck. Then someone knocks on his door. "May I come in, my lord?" He says, "Sure." A maid walks in. Beautiful, of course. This world doesn't have average-looking women, apparently. She asks if something's wrong because she heard noise from inside. He brushes it off, saying it's nothing. She tells him his clothes for tomorrow's banquet have arrived. He says to just leave them there. But then she notices the small cut on his finger. "Oh no, You're hurt. It's nothing, really." And then, out of nowhere, she takes his hand and licks the wound. He freezes. Wait, did she just... Yeah, she did. And she even tells him all sweetly, "Please don't hurt yourself again, my lord." His face goes bright red, like a tomato. Okay, this world might not be so bad after all. Before she leaves, she says one more time, "Don't do that again," and walks out. The second the door closes, he falls onto his bed and bursts out laughing. This world's perfect. It's literally heaven. But then reality hits him. Tomorrow is the banquet, the exact day the old Moon Campbell tries to assassinate the main heroine, which means everything's already in motion. If he doesn't change the story, he's doomed to lose everything again. He sighs. Man, this idiot, this body's original owner, already messed everything up. Meanwhile, the maid walking down the hall thinks to herself, he actually said thank you today. Maybe he's not as rude as he used to be. Lying in bed, the blonde boy stares at the ceiling. How can a guy born as a prince, handsome, rich, surrounded by gorgeous women, still decide to be a total moron and try to kill the female lead? It all started when he tried to drug the third princess, either to knock her out or kill her. But now, knowing how badly that future turns out, maybe he can change it. He looks over at the fancy clothes lying nearby and groans. The banquet's tomorrow. Everything's already set up. I've ruined this timeline before it even started. Come on, some old wizard, goddess, fairy, someone, please give me a system or something. He clutches his head. If the same thing happens again, the main heroine is literally going to step on my face and walk away. But then he stands up, fire in his eyes. No, I'm not letting that happen this time. Tomorrow, when the princess arrives, I'll get down on my knees and apologize. Right then, bam, something smacks him on the head. A book! He looks down. Wait, is this my system? He picks it up, smiling like an idiot. Finally, some kind of power. I can finally change my fate. He opens the book. It's blank. Every single page. He just stares at it. Are you freaking kidding me? First, I get stuck in a loser villain's body, and now my system doesn't even work? Yep, that's Moon Campbell's life now. Reincarnated, unlucky, surrounded by flirty girls, and armed with nothing but a blank book. He wondered, does this thing need some activation? Like a spell, a chant, something magical to get going? As he was thinking that, a drop of his blood fell onto the book. The moment it hit the page, a dark, ominous energy poured out from the book. The blonde guy felt it instantly. His eyes started to close, his vision blurred, and everything went fuzzy. When he opened his eyes again, he was on the ground, tied up. Hands, feet, even his neck were bound. The world smelled like cold stone and fear. Then a strange girl showed up. Not cute, not friendly, scary. Like the kind of character that exists to make you regret your bad life choices. She called herself Candle Moon. Yeah, weird name. And the first thing she said was that his body must be hurting. He groaned, and she just shrugged. Of course it hurts, she said. You've got to feel pain if you're going to learn a lesson. She sounded calm, but there was a hard edge to it. I don't want to hurt you, but you're so stubborn. You keep hurting people, then acting like you can just take it. You keep apologizing and getting forgiven. That won't work. If you want to belong to me completely, you need to prove you're a real villain. Saying you'll be a good person now, that's not enough. Predictably, a bunch of stabbing, literal stabs, happened next. He woke up again, gasping. Back in his bed, same room, same situation. He didn't know who that girl really was. Maybe she was the main heroine's type of person, someone who wanted him to become a true villain. If he did, his life would be ruined, again. Was that vision from the past, the future? He couldn't tell. He guessed the book activated when his blood touched it. Maybe it was a warning about what was coming. When he opened the book again, a line had appeared. Do not change your fate. Translation, if you kneel tomorrow and apologize 3 times, nothing will change. In fact, you might make things worse. The vision was literal, tied up, tortured, stamped as a real villain. Becoming a villain would destroy his future. He thought about it. Being a beggar sounded awful, but compared to being tortured, not so bad. Still, he was a guy from the modern world. He believed he could change things. Maybe he could even change the whole kingdom's fate. He imagined people being grateful he showed up. Being royalty didn't seem all that interesting anymore. Those nobles who stayed tied to their little patch of land and never leave, what a boring life. Cut to the dining table. He happily ate like it was the best meal of his life. Fancy food, expensive, and actually tasty. He was thrilled. His mom and dad watched him. Mom thought he looked genuinely happy. Dad figured he was just excited about tomorrow's ceremony, a big moment in his life, probably the most important one. Mom said she couldn't let him go alone to the event. All the girls would mob him and bother him. He protested. No way. Princess Cecilia will be with me. If anyone tries anything, it won't end well for them. Mom, super cute about it, said she didn't like Cecilia, which made him wonder, why do his parents assume every girl will fall for him, especially when he used to be a huge loser, rude, always complaining, causing trouble? He asked himself, who even is Princess Cecilia again? Then he remembered, she's the 3rd princess he once tried to drug. Yeah, that girl. One of the reasons his life went south. Princess Islia, that's Cecilia or another princess, this world loves confusing royal names, looked tough on the outside, but sweet on the inside, the type who messes you up emotionally and still wears you like a charm. He thought his parents were actually pretty great people. Maybe he was the messed up one. Maybe he'd been kicked out because he was a jerk. That idea made him want to not hurt them anymore. He didn't want to drag them down because of his mistakes. The real disaster had started because people thought he hadn't acted on his own. They said his father ordered him to drug and kill the princess to spark a rebellion. But that wasn't true. His parents were actually decent people. He kept turning the idea over in his head as he walked to his next task, find out where to get the drug for tomorrow. While he was worrying about who'd give him the potion and whether it'd get caught, a maid carrying tea tripped and spilled a whole cup on him. She freaked out, convinced she'd be fired. She starts cleaning him up, panicking that it's the end of her job, that she'll end up eating trash on the street. He didn't want her to be fired. He tried to help and ended up hugging her to calm her down. She was confused. This wasn't the usual master she knew. She asked another maid about his name. Noel, the other maid said. He told her to take care of the new girl. But they had to prepare for the event tomorrow. No time to rest. He said, get more help, because a palace this big can't run on 2 maids. Then they both chatted about how the master used to never ask for help or let servants around, but he had changed. The maid said other things had changed too. Plans were shifting, and she needed to prepare. He went to his room and started doing something odd. He was digging through a chest looking for anything tied to that 3rd princess and the plan to drug her. He found something, a black market card. The piece clicked in his head. This is how the old hymn got the stuff before. This was the link. Cutscene. The commercial district at night. He told his guards to wait, that he'd come back with what he needed. He checked the map in his head and finally reached the right place. He flashed his credential, the black card, and spoke the password. Pig rats. The guard welcomed him like a guest, and he stepped into the black market. It was exactly what you'd expect. Potions, poisons, magic things you don't want to know about, weird magical creatures, and yes, slaves. He met someone who could make a potion that would knock a person out for a long time. No smell, no taste, no color. Basically undetectable. But the seller said, bluntly, you can only buy slaves here. He got freaked out and left. But then she stops him. No, wait, hold on, she yells. She goes to grab the potion herself while the creator behind the counter makes sure no one notices if it's a guy or a girl buying it. Classic shady business. As she's pulling the potion out, another character walks in. You can probably guess who. She says, "I need a potion that has no color, no taste, no smell. Something that can knock out mages." The seller looks confused. "I rarely sell this one. And now there are 2 buyers at the same time?" Anyway, she grabs the potion and hands it over. "Here's what you asked for. Right now it looks red, but if you mix it into wine or anything else, it disappears completely." She asks the girl for payment first, but the girl just gives a letter. The seller frowns. "I can't really accept this as payment. Are you sure it's legit?" The girl says, "Check your sources. You'll know if it's real or not." And with that, she walks off. Moonlight Candle, he has a weird name, says, "Charge it to my card," and asks what that letter was. She shrugs. "I can tell you, but honestly it's not trustworthy. I sell info between people. If you pay $90,000, I'll tell you." The potion cost $150,000. She's asking $90,000 just for info, 7 times the price. He shakes his head. "Nah, I don't need it," and walks off. After they leave, she takes off her mask, clearly a girl, and wonders who she'll sell the info to. Maybe both parties? And chaos ensues. Maybe she's the one who will get him caught trying to mess with the princess. Next night. Campbell Palace. Scene shift. The palace is packed with clueless nobles wandering around. Our guy stands awkwardly among them. A gentleman with a mustache walks in with his 3rd daughter and says she should meet young Master Campbell. The girl glances at the protagonist, freezes, and bolts, her dress fluttering, yelling that her mother is calling her. Honestly, it looked more like fear than excitement. Her dad apologizes and says she's a little timid. Moon shrugs. It's okay. He realizes no girl seems to be happy to see him. His reputation clearly preceded him. Still, his dad pats him on the shoulder and says he's impressed with his behavior. Tonight, he's not just a boy, he's a Campbell man. Moon thanks him and promises to do his best. Suddenly, a voice calls from the entrance. "Everyone quiet! The 3rd in line to the Yupil Empire throne is coming." The room goes still. She's blessed with the purity of snow, called the Ice Goddess, 3rd Princess Cecilia. Suspiciously impressive, kind of like Paimon in vibe. Dad tells him she'll mingle with the other guests and to keep an eye on her. Moon steps forward, welcomes her, compliments her, and notices little sparkles in her hair like Paimon's. Her presence is next level. She accepts the compliment politely. Moon stays sweet, gentlemanly, and she starts thinking, something's off about this guy. "Travel must have tired you," he says. "Take a rest." As she moves ahead, nobles whisper and gawk. The princess thinks, what's gotten into him today? Why is he acting so polite? Meanwhile, Campbell overhears rumors about an illegitimate daughter who dueled her husband. Confused, he watches as people talk, some scolding the chatterers to shut up. Guess who enters with the protagonist? Ariel Board, the main heroine of this world. Black hair, simple face. Standard, but that's often how protagonists are. She greets Mr. Moon politely. He nods, welcomes her warmly. Suddenly, a big guy interrupts. "How can you casually talk to young Master Campbell?" Looks a bit threatening, but Moon shuts him down. She can speak to him if she wants. He's been polite enough. Ariel internally freaks out. This is the same guy who always treated me like trash. Now he's saying my name with respect? Even her friend is confused. Campbell reaches for her hand, Ariel shock. He knows her full name, Miss Liao Ariel. She slaps his hand away, yells, "Stop your schemes! Listen carefully. I'm only here because of your father. If you try anything shady against me, you won't leave alive." And she storms off. Moon likes her already. She's playing the righteous hero, but secretly hopes he slips up. He thinks, dealing with the protagonist won't be easy, but he doesn't care. She'll leave by morning, maybe forever. Later, Moon gives a speech. It's his birthday. He's 18. Applause, compliments, everyone's impressed. He thinks, here comes another episode. Then the real action starts. He notices Paimon look-alike by the mirror, introduces himself, apologizes if he seems rude, and asks, "May I have the honor of this dance?" Now he's really feeling royal. The princess naturally accepts. Her outfit is fire, accessories ready to pop. Nobles glance around awkwardly. Meanwhile, the protagonist is watching from a corner, eating cake, and notices Moon dancing with the princess. The princess compliments his dance steps, and Moon awkwardly says, "I'm still a beginner." She notices how much he's changed. "Finally acting like a proper noble," she remarks. He can't help but remember how arrogant he'd been when he first invited her to dance. "Warrior, I shall grant you the mercy of a dance. Be grateful." He mutters awkwardly, "Let's just forget the past." The music plays, and they dance. Typical compliments, polite smiles. Then suddenly, Moon slides behind her like some adventurer backup style, and she says they need to talk privately. She already knows this whole marriage thing is just political, a family arrangement. Moon blurts, "If you want to cancel it, we can do it together." She hesitates. "We'll talk later," she says, then teasingly suggests going up to her room now. Moon is shocked. It's already late. But she grabs his hand, leading him upstairs. Two mysterious maids watch quietly, whispering to each other, "Look, the mentally challenged master is following her. We need to act fast. This is Lionheart territory now." Inside the room, Moon offers her a drink. She politely declines. "I can't take even a drop." Panic hits him. How did the original protagonist win her over? And he still has to slip the potion. If she won't drink, the plan's dead. He casually asks, "What do you like?" She says, "Coffee," then immediately changes. "Actually, black tea will do." Turns out the room only has black tea and wine. She hesitates. Moon waves, "I got it." She thinks, why is he making such a fuss over tea? Obviously, he's slipping a potion. He thinks, I thought it would be a sleeping potion, but maybe this drop will make her fall in love. There's another vial he's hesitant to use. Suddenly, she calls him over, and Moon jumps, spinning around, accidentally spilling some potion, including the other vial. Turns out it was an aphrodisiac. He thinks nothing magical will happen, but then he notices most of the potions on the floor. His plan to make some money off it is gone. He brings the tea. A face peeks through the window. The princess casually comments, "Campbell family's black tea is so red and shiny." Moon quickly covers, "It's a rare herb from the east, a delicacy." She walks alongside him. "You first," she says. Shocked. "Doesn't trust me? I'm an honest young noble." She explains, noble etiquette says servants should taste first. As Moon lifts the cup, she snatches it. "Yours looks better. Swap." One sip and she gags. The cup falls. She collapses on the sofa, unconscious. Moon thinks, smart move, potion in both cups. According to the original story, the protagonist would have barged in to attack her, but nothing's happened yet. Moon carefully adjusts her skirt and buttons, strips off his shirt, muttering, "Perfect. Anyone who walks in will think exactly what I want." He's ready for a scandal, but time's ticking. Half an hour passes. The original scene hasn't triggered. The protagonist should have walked in spilling a drink, but Moon remembers telling Null to rest. That's why the chain of events shifted. As Moon frets, the princess slowly opens her eyes. Turns out the egg act he thought would work had already fallen into her cup. Moon is confused. Why does it feel so cold? Suddenly, a freezing hand grips his face, blasting him to the floor. "Calm down, Paimon, I can explain," he shouts, but she silences him instantly. He realizes something's off. "I'll call a doctor," he says, but it's too late. His wrists are pinned. The princess murmurs that her body feels cold. Moon tries to reason, "Just work with me," but she suddenly kisses him. He prays Ariel arrives soon, or this act is about to become real. Meanwhile, Ariel walks down the hallway, annoyed her dress got stained. She hears a strange sound. Null approaches, restricted area. She hesitates, then offers, "I'll clean your dress." She casts a small spell. The dress is spotless. Ariel, impressed by the magical maids, smiles and thanks her. One maid casually mentions the party cake will be served soon. Ariel's eyes light up, thanking her again. She smiles lightly. Then her face shifts into a sly, almost evil look. She smells blood in the air, but ignores it. She's here at the Duke's mansion. She won't get involved. She trusts Paimon to handle the spoiled brat. Nearby, shady maids whisper, "Was Ariel the target?" "No, target was 9, but she got her anyway," says the gray-haired maid. "Hurry, or Campbell will ruin the mission." Her partner replies, "Relax, I've checked the situation. Action is fully underway." Meanwhile, Moon is wrecked, scratched, exhausted. What just happened? Then he realizes nothing actually happened. It was all just a struggle to protect her. Paimon rises, holding a sword to his face, demanding his last words. Moon tries to speak, but she coldly declares, "Without saying a word, you're going to the afterlife." Panic sets in. He doubts if even reincarnation will happen this time. Blood flows, his intentions glow with love, hoping the gods grant him one more second. The sword reaches his neck. The princess says in a cold tone, "You are truly disgusting." Moon immediately apologizes. "Relax, I didn't even do anything extreme." She snaps back. "You're filthy, saying your disgusting actions were sincere. If you'd actually tried to win me properly, maybe I'd have accepted the marriage, but you chose the sleazy, drugged route." Moon tried to explain, "I never intended to insult you." She cut him off, cold and commanding, "On your knees." From the far side of the room, a distant sound echoed. Instantly, the princess grabbed his neck, forcing him to order the outsiders away. She flung him to the floor. "Hurry, get dressed, and handle whoever's out there. You're going to die anyway." Poor Moon froze between 3 terrible options: die by Celia's hand, hang at the king's mercy, or get trapped in some mysterious stranger's dungeon. And wait, was that the protagonist? No, it was some lunatic. On the other side, another girl casually adjusted her attire, remarking, "Moon is going to die anyway." Summoning courage, Moon peeked and was shocked. The maid standing there said, "We spent some time together. I brought food." Moon instructed her to leave it there and thanked her, but immediately realized he had never seen her before. Who was she? The maid explained she'd been hired for the banquet. Strange, new staff weren't even allowed in. Moon agreed. Then, suddenly, the maid dashed, knocking him down. Moon instantly understood. The princess was the real target. The maid leaped with 2 knives, and boom! An explosion rocked the room. From above, at least the Ice Queen defended herself. Paimon demanded, "Did your idiot brother send this assassin?" The maid casually replied, "Details are confidential." Scene shifts. Another room. Golden orbs float, whispering, "The princess of Campbell Estate dies tonight." Clearly, someone, a white-haired girl, knew everything. After the explosion, the maid retreated, noting, "Paimon's magic is denser than expected." But her expression shifted as she heard Paimon's incantation. Paimon was now charging an ice spear, aiming for the maid's skull. A brutal clash began. Moon had nothing he could do. He tried the door, sealed. He hid, realizing the maid had cast a barrier spell to black intruders. Suddenly, he remembered the staff had just changed yesterday. Someone had already been leaking information. An attack grazed him. He prayed Paimon would win, but even that might be bad. If she won, she could kill him. "Paimon is a genius," said the maid, sensing gravitational magic disrupting her footwork. Paimon demanded, "Tell me who's involved, or we die here." The maid admitted the rumors were true. Paimon really is a genius. Paimon snapped, "Shut up! Name them or die!" "Her job is just to buy time," the maid replied. The entire room shook. Another gray-haired maid revealed a vial declaring she would sacrifice 100 children for the Lord of the Melted World. Another smiled, ordering everyone to suppress the world. Red energy flooded the room, slamming Paimon into the wall. Rats approached. Moon realized the real target was the princess. Another strike. Paimon blocked with the protagonist's dagger. The maid was shocked. This girl was bloodied, ribs crushed, exhausted, yet still standing. No blood magic left. A brutal kick sent her crashing, but she rose again. The assassin leapt for a finishing blow. Blood sprayed. Moon hit the tank. No block, no deflect, pure courage. Clarity hit. This was all orchestrated by N. Even the 1+1 cover was N. Scene cut. N called her name. Paimon growled, annoyed. Moon lay on the floor, bloodied, remembering when the maid said he could leave. He had thought about escaping, but chose not to. "Why are you doing all this?" he asked N. "Useless flower," she said. "Stop blocking the path." Paimon moved straight past N, slashing her neck. The maid fell to her knees. Ice Princess declared, "It's over." Moon on the floor, barely clinging to life. Paimon crouched, realizing Moon had jumped to protect her, meaning N had not actually hired the assassin. Shockingly, he had protected her without reason. If the princess had died, no one would have known about the sacrifice. Moon murmured, "None of this matters anymore." Paimon coldly noted his pulse. He had time for 3 more sentences. Choose wisely. His final message would reach the duck. Moon extended his hand, whispered sincerely, "I'm sorry." He admitted his feelings were real. His hand dropped, seeming lifeless, like a legend fallen, but he wasn't truly dead. Paimon said, "You can't die just by saying sorry. You have to live and pay for every action." Moon floated in the void, dizzy, flushed with heat. Death seemed inevitable. Yet at least this was better than the game's storyline. He had ended life on his own terms. Suddenly, black energy appeared. A panel opened, displaying progress. Arrogance, envy, greed, shamelessness, laziness. Clearly linked to the 7 deadly sins. Scores: gluttony 90%, envy 99%, arrogance 50%. Pages flipped. Keep trying, for now. Moon seethed. "Why didn't you come when I was dying?" A voice replied, "Ignore." Scene shifts to the series chamber. Ashes float. A murmur. Campbell wasn't the real target. Heavy voice. "What have you done to my son?" The father enters, radiating pure Lionheart aura. The assassin freezes. "I wasn't expecting guests," the father says. "You weren't even invited." Moon woke up in his bedroom. Sitting beside him was Ain, the same Ain who had recently proven herself deadly. "Young master, are you feeling any better? Do you need a doctor?" she asked. Moon tried to get up, intending to use the bathroom, but collapsed from chest pain. "My legs feel weak," he admitted. "I need to be careful. I can't trust N just yet." Ain replied calmly, "Your fiancé told me to take care of you, so I'll stay by your side. I can help you get dressed." Moon quickly stopped her. "I'm feeling better now." "All right, independent then," Ain said, but still helped him up and guided him to the bathroom. She continued, "You've been unconscious for 3 days. Princess Paimon personally told me to watch over you. You barely survived. You lost so much blood. Oxygen was low. You're lucky Paimon used magic to keep you alive." Moon realized that Paimon probably hadn't mentioned the poison all along. Ain added, "But she did mention one important thing. The entire assassination plot has been uncovered. Her father captured an attacker, tortured the truth out of them, and now they'll have to apologize to the king. Your life was at risk in their estate, but surprisingly, no punishment fell on you. Paimon must have said something to the king to cover for you." Moon sighed in relief, collapsing back onto the bed. Ain leaned in, concerned. "Why are you tense? Did something happen with the princess?" Moon denied it quickly. "No way! She'd slice me up if I tried anything." Ain laughed lightly. "The medicine is warm now. Drink it." Moon sipped, gagged, and spat. It tasted awful. What is this?" he asked. "It's a tonic to rebuild your blood supply," Ain explained calmly. Cut to the scene outside the door. The maids whispered gossip. "Whenever the young master eats, he wipes everyone out, but today he's behaving strangely. Maybe I should report it to Madame." Moon overheard. "Shut up! It's just regular medicine." He forced down the rest of the drink. The maid shuddered, and quietly closed the door. But Moon immediately vomited. It felt like crude oil. The worst part, he had to drink it 2 more times to recover fully. Ain casually said, "If you want, I can make pancakes and tea." She handed him a slice of cake. Moon smiled. "Thank you. You're amazing. You deserve a reward." Ain lifted her skirt a little, smiling. "I appreciate the compliment, but I have work to finish." As she left, she added, "Check the nightstand. There's a letter for you." Moon called her back. "Wait, you said I've already taken this tonic 4 times. How is this possible?" Ain stayed calm. "I held sugar in my mouth and passed it to you." Moon relaxed for half a second, then realized what happened. He buried his face in the pillow and screamed. In reality, he was just lying there thinking, if something like that had really happened with the princess, life wouldn't have been so bad. Then he remembered he had kissed Paimon too. He picked up the letter. Inside it said that the princess now considered him half a man. Moon exhaled with relief. At least the dangerous situation was avoided. Later, his mother, emotional, said, "After such a dangerous night, you survived." Moon downplayed it. "Nothing serious happened. Look in the mirror. You have a huge crater-like mark on your chest." Moon shrugged. "It's just a scratch. Surviving is enough." His father agreed. "Marks like that are medals. You saved the princess and a major disaster was avoided." Moon thought, there isn't a single normal maid in this world. Even the one standing now looked like a towering warrior. He instructed that she be told everything in detail. His father explained that 3 assassins had been captured. Through careful interrogation, they learned these weren't the standard death warriors. They were followers of a withering king, an ancient dark god capable of horrifying deeds. Given the right price, they'd even kill their own parents. Still, Moon was told not to worry. Orders had been given to eliminate them entirely. Moon, stunned, remembered that in the original story, the royal knights had burned down the entire city in anger, and chaos had lasted 3 months. Here, it was over quickly. For Ariel, this was a growth moment. Usually, the classic protagonist would fight dozens of enemies, letting her aura evolve. But that development didn't happen because Moon had given the maids 2 days off. The story rail had shifted. The more it changed, the less it could rely on the original book. Moon devised a complex plan. Survive, avoid ending up tied to that wretched table, grow stronger, and ultimately stop relying on the book. He realized the truth. He didn't know who had appeared in that vision, neither Ariel nor Celia. For now, being strong was more important than overthinking. As the Duke's son, he had resources, but everything was conventional. The original body's owner had wasted a year at a prestigious academy, producing nothing but weak light spells. Still, as the son of a powerful father, some talent remained. Not enough to reach the protagonist crew level, but not entirely useless either. Moon reflected on Ariel, a god-chosen being, empowered by the blessings of ancient elemental spirits. She had grown non-stop ever since receiving divine authority from the old goddess. Her power couldn't be surpassed by mere training, and Moon realized the harsh truth. No matter how hard he trained, overtaking her seemed impossible. Still, he couldn't afford to remain idle. At the very least, he had to become strong enough to defend himself, especially if Ariel ever targeted him directly. He touched his finger to the black book that appeared before him, landing on his crotch. "Stop attacking me every time you appear!" he shouted. The book emitted a strange whistling sound, pages flipping rapidly, detailing every event from the past few days in such excruciating detail that Moon felt some shady creep intruding on a helpless girl's life. His eyes landed on a word glowing in red: assassin. Suddenly, a unique energy enveloped him. "Next time, at least give a warning," he muttered, and found himself in a new room, unlike the previous dungeon, likely a space within the book itself. He turned at the sound of footsteps and saw the girl who had once injured his neck. Before he could react, the lights went out. When they returned, He was on the bed, unable to process what had happened. Within a single movement, he discovered his actual combat abilities. Dagger combat, 1%. Shadow step, 0.5%. Even in this insane world, he realized he could evolve through actual combat. He grinned. His hack, the book's insight, was overpowered. Lying on the bed at night, he mumbled to himself. 3 seconds of survival, a 1% jump in proficiency. His skills were broken. Perhaps enemy abilities were recorded in the book, and he could learn them by observation. If mere observation sufficed, he would have acquired ice abilities already, but Ariel had been too powerful. I need these powers, and the dagger skills. Soon they'll be mine, he whispered. How to progress faster remained unclear, but the book revealed hints. Suddenly, the book slammed onto him again. A kick to his head, a chest slash, his entire body shredded and knocked to the floor. He was surprised to see the girl smiling beneath the blankets. "Funny, you still sleep like a child," she teased, casting a protective spell to ensure he wouldn't wake. Moon, furious, pulled himself out of the blanket. The cursed book had struck his groin, or maybe it was just cheap tricks. Either way, he resolved to enter the dream repeatedly until he overcame it. By sunrise, he had tried 161 times. Exhausted, he realized something crucial. Death in this world felt painfully real. He couldn't game the system and ignore fear. He had to endure the pain to grow. After a night of relentless grind, he saw results. Dagger techniques at level 2, shadow step 11%, far from mastery, but progress. He activated Shadow Step, moving across the room like smoke. Then pain shot through his leg. He realized how effortlessly the assassin who attacked Paimon had executed her techniques. These were advanced maneuvers, taught only to Tier 2 warriors. Only a proper teacher could refine them, preferably hot, he mused, thinking of Saint Maria. Magic was so broken in this world that martial arts were nearly irrelevant. Fireballs could destroy punches. He recalled a warrior, likely the most powerful in the story, perhaps even more than the father. At 15, he crushed 20 rebels. At 30, he became the Empire's martial champion. At 32, he was Lionheart King. He had never lost a battle. The real deal. He reflected on his own tragic ending in the original timeline. He had everything, the perfect father, a perfect life, but it was all ruined. Now he resolved to request personal training from his father. He expected a refusal, but then Ain knocked and announced, "The master is calling you." Moon followed her out. Outside, he met 2 more maids. One wore glasses, the slim figure central to this story. He noticed that all were now referred to as headmaids. He complimented Ain, who explained that the first headmaid had resigned immediately after rising from his bed. Perhaps she had been removed because of him, a bit confusing. Then his mother gave him a tight hug, whispering that she had been pregnant, a sibling was coming. His father appeared shortly after, cautioning him not to get too excited. Moon had just recovered. Soon his father would return to the front lines. Moon realized he would remain in the capital, overseeing everything. His father instructed him to watch over the household and the empire, as the border had signs of abysmal demons. It was a distraction, a 3-year preparation before the real invasion, when Ariel would rise as savior. Despite the delay, Moon felt resolute. He had become a real man. His father promised to allocate all resources he lacked in youth to Moon, ensuring his growth. For a moment, Moon sat quietly, absorbing the weight of his new responsibilities. Moon tried to reason. Technically, she's already politically engaged. His father shook his head. Even if a political marriage occurs, Paimon will remain the primary wife and Anne secondary. When I return in 3 years, Moon, you must have a child. That's the plan. Moon couldn't believe how ruthlessly his father had pitched Anne. He would have said no immediately. As his father departed, Anne entered the room. She smiled mischievously. I heard your name. You need something? Moon turned, hesitant. No, nothing. Then abruptly, we need to have a child, he said, referencing his father's orders. She laughed, thinking it a joke. Seriously, don't take it like that. Your job is as a maid. In the future, we'll walk our own paths. For now, focus on your responsibilities. Moon softened. Still, you're perfect. One day someone amazing will find you. When that happens, tell me. I'll give you my blessing. He placed his hand confidently on her shoulder. Be brave. Find your happiness. Anne's face hardened. She was clearly upset. He's changed. Really changed. No more waiting. Tonight, the work will be done. Moon's mind raced. Things weren't going as planned. He had hoped to grow stronger with his father's help, but now he had to go solo. Half of the academy was tied to the overpowered protagonist. The situation was only getting worse. He decided to return to the basics. First master the fundamentals, then the world. He opened a dark book, a fast leveling tool. Just by flipping the cover in a few pages, he could absorb knowledge efficiently. Am, with a seemingly innocent expression, entered the room. What are you reading? She asked. Moon waved her off. She brought food and a vintage wine, rare, worth over 2,000 coins per bottle. Moon declined, focused on studying, but she placed it carefully in his hand. Coffee? He asked. Only wine or black tea, she replied, almost strangely familiar. She apologized for the lack of beans, promising fresh ones tomorrow. Moon, unaware, drank directly and nearly choked. The blur of the floor startled him. Why did you trick me? He asked. Anne held him gently. I never trick you. Rest easy, she whispered. Moon's heart broke. She cared so deeply. He realized he would have to purify himself with her love, accept it, and be ready to stay together forever. As he opened his eyes, the prophecy girl stood in front of him, bound, removing her uniform. The black market never fails, she declared. Moon asked in shock, What are you doing? You know exactly. 10 years ago, when you were just beginning with art, I was there. Since then, my life has been for you, and now your life is mine. I will fix you tonight. Moon tried to protest. I don't understand. Just stop. She hushed him. Don't speak. Everything tonight is mine. Your body, soul, scent, hair, every drop, all mine. Relax. No need to worry about impressing your father. I'm handling it. Moon's body endured the night. He woke up exhausted, repeatedly losing consciousness. His original self would have been worthless in such a scenario. Anne's precision brought him down in one hit, yet he survived, despite the pain. By noon, she refused to relent. No chance, she said, the agony insignificant compared to her determination. She couldn't finish faster. Moon realized if this continued, he wouldn't survive. But her steel cuffs magically released him, warning, Don't be foolish. This room is a sealed, reinforced space. You can't leave. Moon worried about suspicion. She reassured him. Everyone will believe he returned to the academy after his father's speech. No one will question his absence. Every day she would bring him meals, just like always, yet her discipline was precise. One clean strike, and he writhed in pain, realizing no sane person could willingly endure such insanity. She left with a calm warning. Moon called after her, but the magical steel-reinforced room allowed no escape. He understood that this training, brutal, relentless, was the only way to survive, the only way to grow stronger. By the end, he was exhausted, barely able to move, but one truth crystallized. He had no choice but to endure, adapt, and surpass limits, or die trying. The next time, Moon swore, he would make her pay. He barely had time to think when Anne appeared, smiling, signaling the end of the day's work. Moon could only mutter, "Easy to say. Now show me." Anne chuckled. "Feels like a wife coming home from the office. Cute, normal. Dinner ready at the perfect temperature. Conversation on point. What more could you want?" Moon sank, trying to relax, but his face betrayed him. Relaxation was the last thing on his mind. "I don't need help with any of this," he said firmly. "Someone free this poor guy, or I swear I'll shut down completely." Anne shook her head calmly. "Now that your body is yours, taking care of it is also your job." She even tested his hearing. Moon's mind screamed, "I can't let this yandere win!" Dinner came. Moon thanked her, devoured the amazing meal, and asked casually, "Whose meat is this?" Anne smirked. "Free-range horned bull, made especially for you. It builds physical strength." He snapped. "Never serve this again." She laughed. "I've fed you dozens of times already, secretly." He stood, exasperated. He had been trapped, deprived of sunlight, fed strange meals. If this continued, he'd be out cold again. What could he do? Anne whispered, teasing, "Enjoy. The night is long." He straightened, opening his eyes. Anne apologized, admitting she had gone easy the previous night, fearing he wouldn't survive. Yet even this gentle touch was enough to overwhelm him. Moon ignored her attempts at conversation. Anne, persistent, said, "You've been a good boy for 2 days. I'll grant one request." Moon didn't hesitate. "Freedom." Anne shook her head. "Impossible." "New clothes?" he tried. "Also impossible," she replied with a smile. Moon's face fell. Anne explained that the highest level wish he could make was simple. Choose what he wanted for dinner tomorrow. Moon exhaled. Better than doing nothing. He remembered a seasonal wine and a special fish he used to enjoy. Anne replied, "The fish comes from Lake Bipo, quite far." Moon groaned. Once a free spirit, now trapped. Even a small fish from the lake seemed impossible. Anne's eyes softened. "I'll get it for you." Moon grabbed her hand, grateful, shaping a heart in his mind. "Thank you. Really, thank you." Anne smiled, teasing as she left, instructing him to rest. She planned to spoil him further by bringing the fish tomorrow.